Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. Welcome back, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today I am doing my 1K Q&A. I am so thankful for everyone who subscribed to this channel. I honestly cannot believe all of the support that my channel has received since I started in February. It took me a long time to just get enough courage to transfer from Instagram to YouTube. For a really long time, I thought, I don't read enough. Should I be recommending books? So I do want to preface this video out by saying that if you want to start a booktube channel, just do it. This community is incredibly supportive and helpful. My very first collab was with Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life, and she was so kind and loving through that experience. I'm telling you, you will learn what you need to learn as you go along. I had no idea how long that collab video was going to take to upload, or that half of the video exported. And again, she was so loving and kind, it reminded me to extend that to myself. So take the plunge, do it. It's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. It's connected me with all of my bookish friends in a different way. It's been a creative outlet for me. I was really stifled in that area of my life, and so this has just been a lot of fun, and I want to thank you for joining me, watching, and gushing along with me. I also want to give back because of that, so at the end of this video, I will be going over the giveaway and how to enter it. And I mean, you know, spoiler alert, it's not going to be that involved. I put a request for questions out on my Instagram and in my community tab, so I'm just going to toggle back and forth. They're not at all organized. If you're new here, that's a thing. And we're just gonna get into it. The first question that I have is, what's the book that first sparked your love for romances? I love you too, Avery. I do not remember the name, but I do know the author, and that was definitely Danielle Steele. And she was the first romance author that was introduced to me because of my favorite movie in elementary school, Now and Then, which is about 4 women who lead very different lives, and they come back together, revisit their small town for a funeral, and recount their summer in the 60s. I absolutely loved that movie. And one of the characters, Chrissy, mentions Danielle Steele and how she knows how to write a good romance novel. So that name stuck in my mind. And in my town, before it became a Rite Aid, it was a Thrifties, and me and my best friend would go and get a double scoop. I was collecting those homey toys that you got from the gumball machine. And one day I saw Danielle Steele in the book aisle. You know how her and Nora Roberts, their names are like huge on the cover. And I had to know what Chrissy was talking about. So I remember it being about an American heroine that enters into a marriage of convenience with a duke from London. And it was the travel of it all, how her life completely changed because of her feelings for him. And also at the time, I remember just being like enthralled with how she put words to what I interpreted as a crush then. The romance swept me away, and I was off and running after that. The next question that I have, let's toggle to the community tab. Jen, thank you for all of these questions. What was your first spicy romance, if you remember? I definitely do, because the first spicy book that I remember was Addicted by Zane. This was a book that I got from a friend of a friend in junior high. She smuggled it out of her house, and I was shook by all of the steam. Okay, if you've ever read Zane, then you know. And also just about the cost of it all, her insatiable lust. I couldn't get past this woman who was happily married with children and the tangle web that she weaved of lies during that affair. And the ending left me gobsmacked. I was almost like sensual horror in a way. And because of that book, I picked up Nervous by Zane. The heroine in that book has split personality. She's nervous around men, has a crush on her neighbor, and her alter ego, who's very evil, I think her name was like Juanetta or something like that, doesn't want her to fall in love because all she wanted to do was sleep around and have a good time. And just the, you know, physical mechanics of the steam. We would huddle up at lunchtime trying to sort of like map it out. That was my first steamy romance, and that's what I was reading in junior high. The next question I have, what's a romance book I think everyone should read? A lot of the stuff I read is pretty dark, twisty, and filled with trigger warnings, so I don't think that everyone should read them. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking again, The Magic by Lisa Kleypas. I mean, that romance starts out at the freaking zenith. The longing, the mutual pining, the class difference that thwarts their union, the second chance, all of the angst, the reasons for why, emotionally, why they can't be together, her insecurities, his acceptance, his anger. Oh, I love that book so much. I think everyone should read again, The Magic. Let's see, what book surprised me so far? There are many for different reasons. But the one that's coming to mind right now is The Weight of It All by N.R. Walker. That is an body positive romance that really surprised me because the body positivity extended to all bodies, which include athletic and fit ones as well. And that's what I think body positivity should be about. And I have yet to read that in this way. This is Henry and Reed's romance. It's so sweet and swoony. It made me so giddy. Henry is recently dumped. He's also a mature hero. I loved the conversation centered around aging, and due to some really hurtful parting words, he is ready to start anew, and also as a ploy to get his ex back, he joins a gym, and it is a romance between him and his personal trainer, Reed. And again, the conversations that stem from all of the assumptions that Henry is making about whether or not Reed is interested in him or not, based on how Reed looks, are dealt with in a very challenging and loving way. I love the self-acceptance and the vulnerability that Henry arrives at because of the way that Reed sees him and treats him. Oh, it was just so good. It was absolutely a 5-star read, and I got that rec from Rachel Reads and Sings. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely surprised me. The next question I have, Melissa, Ms. Bookbar, what is your favorite part about living in Vegas? Hands down, the high probability that the people that I love, care about, and want to see are going to come to me. Okay, I don't care if they're into gambling or clubbing. There's going to be a work or book convention that brings them here, a family gathering, festivity. Something is going to bring them to my city, and I'm going to be able to visit them. Carrie from Book for Romance was just here. There are people that I've met along the way throughout life that I follow on Instagram. I see that they're here for something, and I'm able to meet up with them and catch up, and I love it. Also, like, my elementary school best friend lives here. I haven't pushed myself on her yet, so if you're watching, please reach out. But just the fact that that's even in my reality is why I love this city. I also am very fond of a good museum, great food, and a show, and this city has an abundance of that. I'm very pleasantly surprised and happy with my move here. The next question I have is, what do I do for a living? What do I do for work? I've got a lot of these. I currently work in entertainment for MGM Grand on the Jabberwocky show. And I also recently got a promotion, so I apologize for how long it's taken me to get this out. I've been trying to get the new lay of the land, but I'm responsible for all of the front of the house things, making sure that guests get seated, making sure that talent stays safe. It's a very lit show. People have a good time. They want to reach out. They want to pull things down. So I just make sure that the dancers stay safe during the show. The departments have what they need. I write a lot of reports, and I have a really good time with my team. I love MGM. I love my bosses. And I just think it was kismet that that job opened up for me when I was making this transition. I'm so happy about it. I am also a script reader. I read feature film screenplays, and I do beat by beat coverage. Also give my analysis and recommendation based on a particular studio's brand. I'm recently freelance. I used to have an opportunity with one particular studio, and now I read for many, and I absolutely love it. I do remember toggling back to my community tab, Jen asking me some more questions, so I'll get into those now. What are some of your favorite scripts you've read? Of course, being discreet if I need to be. And I need to be. So hypothetically, I will just share one script. I cannot confirm or deny that may or may not make its way to you. Okay, all of that out of the way. I read a romantic suspense sort of thriller set in a nursing home. So our main characters are mature, which I really loved. We're dealing with a trans leading lady who's dealing with dementia and buffeting a very evil orderly that's hoarding her hormone medication because they don't agree with her lifestyle. And so all of those ingredients combined lead to her forgetting her own transition as she's falling in love with a gentleman that lives at the same nursing home. It was dark, twisty, also a fresh take on what I think we see far too often, where trans life is boiled down to transitioning and surgeries. I think there needs to be more representation about trans love, life, and joy. However, this script had a very fresh take on that. It also is sort of mystical in a way. I love the meditations on prejudice, and I still think about that. Hopefully it makes its way to a theater near you soon. Okay, the next work question I have is, what celebrity was nicer than you thought they'd be? Was anyone meaner? Again, be discreet if I need to be. I was a production assistant on television, so I will say my interpretation of mean is probably going to be different than other PAs, because thankfully I can say I've never been verbally, physically, or like mentally abused by a celebrity, and I know that's not everybody's experience. So if someone's short with me on set, I don't consider that to be mean. I consider that them suiting up and doing what they're there to do, which is their job, and I don't expect atta girls to get through mine. So that's kind of my interpretation on that. I will say a celebrity that I expected to be a diva, and I was kind of looking forward to it. I would have lived if that happened. But Miss Susan Lucci, okay, Erica from All My Children, she came on to the Dr. Oz show. I will throw a picture up if I have it. I do delete a lot of things to like create space. And if I do throw it up, I look very disinterested in this picture, and that's because you had to be if you wanted to get picked to be a stand-in. So, but she was saccharine sweet in the best possible way. Truly, that woman was warmth. She was professional, but she was very soft-spoken. And when she spoke to you, you felt like, at least I did, like I was the only person in the room. And she really softened a lot of people that are usually wound up pretty tightly. And I loved being in her presence. She is someone that is exemplar of that, where it's always special when you walk away after having worked with someone feeling better. However, like I said, I don't expect anyone to do that just because of who they are, but it's definitely like a highlight when it happens. I will say someone that didn't give me what I was expecting. They weren't rude. They were just about their business. That was definitely Jessica Simpson. She came onto the Dr. Oz show to promote Open Book. And again, you know, she wasn't a diva, but she wasn't giving any, you know, warm fuzzies and cuddlies. It was, this is my drink. This is what I need. Where do I stand? You know? Okay. Also, I'll say Tia Mowry. Tia Mowry was so personable and down to earth and talkative as well. Like asking me where I get my hair done. I was living meeting Tia Mowry. Okay. I grew up watching Sister Sister. I just loved her so much because I did bring coffee to her and her entourage, and some of the orders were a little tedious, and she gave me that like just eye contact of knowing, and I loved that. She was also on the Dr. Oz show to do a segment about endometriosis and her experience with that, and I thought it was a pretty good one. Another celebrity, can't talk about that one or that. I apologize. I'll say a sort of reality celebrity was Dog the Bounty Hunter, who was a complete teddy bear. I mean, he's a goober. He's a cinnamon roll. I was taken aback by how sweet and cuddly that man is. Morris Chestnut is a straight gentleman and completely is in love with his wife. I mean, that is a doting husband. I loved watching it. The way that he took care of her, the way that he looked at her. Ah, I just love them. Anyway, moving on. Because I want to continue to get gigs, okay? Let's see. What is a random but very annoying pet peeve in romance for me? I will say just the glorification of virginity. I am so sick and tired outside of historicals with reading about virgins. I don't care. She's not going to be a virgin by the end of any book that I'm picking up, okay? And I think my pet peeve in that is whenever virginity is the deciding factor that gets a hero to make his move or decide that he wants her. I can get on board with that sort of claiming and possession and find it to be hot when I'm convinced that the hero is utterly bewitched by being and not just her body, so that being just an added benefit that she's somehow just for him. I can get on board with that. And of course I read romances with virgin heroes and heroines. In fact, I'm kind of a hypocrite. I'm the first to pick up a virgin hero, okay? So I'm a part of that. I recognize that. I can admit my shortcomings. I just side-eye it every single time the heroine is a virgin and we're not in a historical. The idea that she's sullied if she's been touched, because I just live for romances with heroes that gleefully transmute trauma and sort of blot out every experience that she's had with men that have induced that trauma and result everything down to just him because of the way that he treats her, the way that he cherishes her, the way that he loves her. I love that. A man that can accept it all, her past, present, and her future. That's more compelling for me to read. And so, again, I muddle through it. It's something I keep to myself, but I'm sick and tired of it. What's your favorite part of the book community? I can only speak for the romance community, and I will say just connecting with you based on our love of an HEA and the fact that I don't care who you voted for, what you believe in, who you love, or where you put your dollar. All I care about is what you're reading and why you love it. And also why you didn't. The opinions that are counter to mine are the ones that broaden my worldview. I love that I am connected to you no matter where you come from. So many different walks of life, how we come together, the conversations that we have based on romance that make it evident that it is an art when our genre is not given the respect that it deserves. And I just love this community, its support, the friends that have come out of it, and the conversations, all of it. Favorite trope, least favorite trope? My favorite trope is forced proximity. I love when characters are cornered into confronting their feelings, whether those be ones of hate, okay, reluctant longing, the pining that they're trying to hide. And I also love how versatile it is. That's what a marriage of convenience is. That's what a bodyguard romance is, a road trip romance. I just think it's a very useful tool and it hits every time for me. My least favorite trope is definitely love triangles. I do not just go and pick those up. I tend to side-eye the inevitable depreciation of the character that isn't going to win in the end in order for me to be invested in the endgame couple. I don't enjoy that reading process. I'm very much a reader who doesn't understand why everyone can't get an HEA in the end. Why does the heroine have to choose? Why can't we all be together? That always comes up, and it also just feels like a loop of my early 20s. It's not something that I enjoy. I do know, however, that Monica asked in my community tab, what is a book that did like my least favorite trope well? And I will say I recently read Conviction by Corrine Michaels. And I got that rec from Sam Reads a Little, and Cheyenne, that tall book girl. They recently did a love triangle like collab. And that book hit for me. Conviction is the second in the duet. In the first, without giving any spoilers, I'll say that this is about a heroine who loses her husband while he's on a mission. He was a Navy SEAL. And she's pregnant, grieving, and left to pick up the pieces of the life that they built together. And his best friend lends a helping hand. ushers her into healing, and they inevitably fall for one another. And at the end of that book, there is a huge twist that catapults us into the second book that is messy, okay? The secrets that come out in that book, I was absolutely living because of the voice that the heroine finds, the clear picture of what she wants and what her marriage was actually like, and just the agency that she arrives at, and also some of the like heavy hitting questions that can arise from making a relationship work with their history. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be vague, but that hit. Okay, Gravity by Sarah Kate hit as well. That was also a recommendation from Cheyenne. That was a forbidden or taboo love triangle between father and son. So 2 for 2 in terms of Cheyenne's love triangle recommendations. I do not pick them up, but I'm definitely willing to run down her list. Let's see. If I could read only one subgenre of romance, what would it be? If I had to pick, I'd kind of be cheeky and say contemporary, because I'd be able to reach for a variety of different things. Like Mafia would still be contemporary. I'm gonna go with Dark, could still be contemporary. Love My Bodyguard romance. Love My Forbidden and Taboo. Definitely contemporary for the breadth, of it all. Favorite book and or author I don't talk about enough. That's a little tricky because I talk about all of my favorite authors. So, Saxon James. Saxon James is an romance author. I love the way that she writes reluctant longing, the ambiguity of sexuality, and probably mostly like the varying degrees of possessiveness that are always all too revealing. I really like her small town romance series, Never Just Friends. And I'm also, check me out with the segues. I think Steph from Novelty Corner asked me my favorite book outside of the US or the UK. And Just Friends, the first in that series, is set in Australia. And I do really enjoy that romance because they're everything but. And it starts out with their childhood friendship that is rooted in care, where Tanner protects and defends Rue. He's a smaller child, he's sickly, and he's also very dependent on his friendship with Tanner and Tanner's family. But he has to leave his town in order to get a surgery, and when he returns years later, they become roommates, where he is keeping the fact that he's gay a secret from Tanner, and Tanner is sort of almost in full acceptance for the way that Rue makes him feel. He's not really interested or caught up in the label of it all. And the hazard of them being together is just flirting. And the way that Rue is accepting himself and how they come together, the life that they make, I just thought it was so sweet. Again, another giddy read. That's definitely like comfort for me, romances. I think that's also on this list. I always reach for romances and dark romances when I'm, kind of slumpy and maybe not feeling myself. Dark romances really validate trauma, and while also giving me an HEA and that hope and light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes I need that kind of literal parallel to the things that I'm going through. So to answer that question, that's somewhere that I remember seeing. That's another one for you. Let's see. Do I have any most anticipated releases for the second half of the year? I don't know when it's coming out, but Pam Godwin's next dark historical pirate romance is a highly anticipated read for me. I was stalking that woman's Instagram. Any picture that she gave us of her writing in that beautiful freaking office, I was zooming in, okay? Just trying to get a hit, just give me a line, Pam. I just want a line of that freaking book. I love Pam Godwin and the way that she writes. Heavier themes. Ooh, that is the most anticipated read. Also, Sophie Lark's Anastasia, that's going to be her first fantasy romance. I can't wait to read that. I just want to get my hands on it. I'm stuttering. The next question that I have is top 10 romance books of all time. That's an entire video that I can commit to getting out for you. I will do that video. I was also asked, do you have any favorite books of 2022 so far? I currently have a video up on my channel talking about my favorite reads of the year so far, and I will be coming out with another one the beginning of next month because we're already halfway through the year, and they aren't all necessarily everything I've given 5 stars to. Who or what got you into romance? Do you enjoy other genres? I do. I enjoy thrillers. The last one I read, though, was The Passengers by John Mars, I think. It was a while ago. I did rate it 4 stars. I also like autobiographies. I like to read about how others do life, basically. Let's see. How do you practice putting your thoughts and feelings about books into words, or does it come naturally to you? How do I practice? I guess my life has been practiced. Storytelling has always been the bright spot of my life. When I was growing up, I had a notebook of movie reviews just because every time I watched one, I had so many feelings that I had to get them out. My dad's probably laughing because he watches my videos and he knows, like, that Eminem movie notebook. Also, I was a drama kid. I was always in the performing arts. That's a lot of connecting to material. And in college, I studied film, and they taught me how to pull beats out of story, and through a lot of papers, I got good at talking about why those beats worked or did not work for me. So that's a form of practice. As far as everything else, I feel like I turn the camera on and just ramble. And I would like to get better at being a little bit more succinct. You know, someone I really admire is Christy from Christy Reads a Lot. The way that she can come in and give you the book, give you the tropes, tell you why she did or didn't like it, and how I can just walk away knowing if I'm going to pick that book up or not fairly quickly. I love her Goodreads reviews. I also love her page. Like, I would like to emulate some of that. I feel like I do a really good job at pinpointing small things that move me and expounding greatly on that, and I don't necessarily know if that helps you pick the book up or not. But yeah, the rambling is all natural, absolutely. And I also love this community for accepting me and that, because for a very long time, I was told that it's not that deep, that I was too analytical, and also just, you know, walking through life feeling like you're speaking another language. It's, amazing to be a part of this community. We relate on the gush. What is a book you wish you could read for the first time again? I mean, Manacled. I don't know if I'm gonna pick something else up to match that reading experience. It was a 3-day long affair of just me being completely riveted by this Handmaid's Tale Harry Potter mashup, a world created by the evil machinations of Voldemort, where all of our favorite characters are dead. And it is very dark, but I just couldn't come up for air. I remember doling out chapters. I remember bringing it up to people that were non-bookish in my life, and they loved it as well, and DMing Jen. And I think my favorite part about it is that HGA was so hard won, and we got to spend time with them in that, where they were still working on things in the relationship and on themselves as characters, and I just loved Manacled so much. I don't know if I'm going to be able to top that reading experience. I hope I do, but I doubt it. Okay, I doubt it. That was also very surprising for me because that was a fanfic, and I was not expecting that from fan fiction, and now I feel like I've ushered in a new obsession. That book was absolutely incredible. Pick a heroine I'd love to be in a romance book. Sophie Lark Sloane. Are you kidding me? If I could just experience like a fraction of what she has with Ivan, I will feel that I have lived. The way that she has grown as a woman because of his love, the fact that Sloane is the type of character that's able to see at the core of others and whittle it down to their need, either placate that, push on that, maneuver around it. I love her prowess. I love her brilliance. I mean, before she even meets Ivan, she's a global assassin. Do you know the kind of physics that it takes to create the concoction she was using to take out her freaking targets? I love Sloane. She is such an enigma. I wish I could beat her for just a day. I would take it for just a day. Her and Ivan's love is like truly romance goals. It's the pinnacle. I think it's unmatched. I absolutely love Sloane. Favorite Black love, Black hero, Black heroine, romance book. I'm just coming off of the heels of 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I love Ava and Shane. I love that they're alchemists of words. They are creatives. I love how they fall back into each other through that second chance. That was just a standout, hard-hitting romance for me. As far as my favorite Black heroine, Danica Brown from Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I absolutely love that book. And I love Dani because she is an eccentric, spiritually woo-woo intellectual. I love the paradox in that. I love that she is the type of woman who just lives life by the tune of her own sheet music, how she's very guarded but also incredibly accepting with others' vulnerabilities and Zaf and his anxieties. I just love Dani Brown. She is bombastic in the best possible way, and I wish that she was real. I really do. Favorite hero? No one really has been able to top Grip from Kennedy Ryan's Grip trilogy, the way that he stands up for Bristol because he is in an interracial relationship that isn't accepted by his community. The way that he stands by her in their marriage broke me, and still. That book is absolutely beautiful. The way that he waits patiently for Bristol to get out of her own way. I have yet to find a hero to top Grip. So those are my answers for that. You have the best style. Where do you get your clothes? Thank you, Crystal. There isn't really a particular place. I will say I found the LSAC when I was on my way to college. I didn't want to be one of many in black, beige, and gray. I like vibrant colors. I love Dolls Kill. I love Dee Dee's Discount. Wherever I can get a statement piece, which my closet is full of, I will go. And I typically try to like work my wardrobe around them. And that's probably because of Morticia. If I can find the scene, I will insert it. There is a moment in Addams Family Values where Morticia reads her fulfills due to her color choices.
You have destroyed his spirit. You have taken him from us. All that I could forgive. But Debbie.
What?
Pastels?
I don't know. That moment imprinted on me, and Morticia, although she is the queen of darkness and deep love, I love their relationship. That's like one of my all-time favorite couples on the screen, outside of course, Jack and Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. But I want to grab for all of the things that have a pulse and make me happy. So that's statement jewelry, statement pieces, and I really liked LSAC because they're unique and like quirky, bright colors, everything. Stranded Island. You can take 5 books only. What are they? Okay, McKay, shoot! That's a little difficult. I will say I don't own this anymore, but the complete works of Bob Dylan, his lyrics, including the sheet music. So his lyrics are ones that I could ruminate on for a lifetime, and I have for the duration of mine. I'll also say, where are you at? Falling Up. This is a collection of poems that I have had since a kid. This is a talisman for my childhood. They are a little offbeat, off-center, possibly sinister. I'm gonna see if I can find like an illustration. And I think I would get a kick out of these illustrations, and they also kind of make you think. This one's funny. Why does our track team run so fast and jump with zest and zeal? We owe it all to our great coach and our wonderful practice field. I mean, it's just a little like dark and twisty, and they make you think. Let me see if I can find another one, like real quick. If you don't care, you could, skip ahead. Glub, glub. He thought it was the biggest puddle he'd go splashing through. Turns out it was the smallest lake and the deepest too. I just love it. And like I said, it's a talisman for my childhood and I would want to take this with me. The third book would probably be one that is blank so that I could write. The fourth, Surviving Rain by Shay Savage. Honestly, pragmatically, because of all of the survival tips in that book. Okay, this is a grumpy sunshine. Sebastian is a drunk. He is in a new phase of his life where he is outrunning the trauma and his past by being the captain of a schooner where he takes out affluent groups to cruise, among which is Rain. And their pasts are linked in a very romance-revealing way, and the ship capsizes and they have to survive together. The way that he softens because of her sunshine disposition, the reveals on their pasts, and how he arrives to sobriety. I really enjoyed that romance, but again, there's a lot in there that has to do with survival, and I have to be pragmatic a little bit. And then that only leaves one more romance. So it would have to be something that's fun and puts a smile on my face. Where are you at, baby? Oh. Probably Eden by Lily Mayne. I love Eden. I love this big purple monster. He's just glee. And I love what he and Charlie find. They're also in a precarious survival situation, and this would remind me to glean what I can out of the moment. I absolutely love this monster series. If you haven't, you need to pick it up. They're all MM and they're everything. I've talked about it on my channel a lot, so I won't go in. This is also gifted to me. Thank you. It might make it into my bookish calendar. I really hope so. I need to start wrapping those up. I picked some in my June TBR and I need to get with it with the wrapping. What song gets you in a better mood if you're not feeling yourself? It's not a song, it's a sound, and that is the electric guitar. I feel like the electric guitar sounds like the soul feels, and I inject myself with it as much as possible. If you want actual songs though, I will say Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips. That song captures the ephemeral nature of life, reminds me to glean beauty and revel in the moment. There's a lot of brass fanfare that makes me happy. My breakup song is definitely Slept So Long by Jonathan Davis. Very gothic validation of a rage against hauntingly debilitating need. I put that song on a lot. Also, I like to play in makeup and listen to Beat for the Gods by Laverne Cox. And if I want to step out into the world feeling like that girl, okay, main character energy, I listen to Nails, Hair, Hips, and Heels by Todrick Hall. You can't tell me anything after I've listened to that song. Dolly Parton also gets me all the way together. I listen to That Girl in the Movies when I'm in the beginning stages of like shrugging off the music video that can be my wallowing. I really like Moon Age Daydream by David Bowie. That song makes me feel like a live wire. That's passion, it's need. I'll wrap it up because you didn't ask for a playlist. Freak on a Leash by Korn, always. The next question is, what is my favorite TV show and movie? Favorite as in singular gives me anxiety. Okay. I'm just gonna take this opportunity to answer the question. Somebody asked me where I went to school. I went to Columbia University. They also asked what I studied, which was film studies. So inevitably I would be at some mixer because I was an honor student. I graduated magna cum laude. I'm really proud of that. And I graduated at the age of 31. You can always go back to school. You can always start over and be successful. That was for someone. But one of the questions that I hated being asked was, what is my favorite movie? Because I would stutter, I didn't have an answer. My influences are legion. And I love film so much, so it's hard to boil it down to one. I will give you a few. It's just how my brain works, like tentacles latching on to multiple things at once. I love Beaches. That is with Bette Midler. That's about a friendship that spans across decades. It's beautiful and it's heartbreaking and it's so moving. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend Beaches. I also like Gattaca with Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. I love Gladiator. Maximus Decimus Aurelius. I love war movies. I'm a war movie girl. Let's see what else. Velvet Goldmine. Very much inspired by David Bowie and Iggy Pop. It's glam rock. It's a bit fantastical in terms of this tale of fame. It's a vibe. The music, the costuming, get into it if you have a moment. I'll stop because I can continue going on with movies. Television shows. I love the Vikings. I have an affinity or obsession with Norse mythology, and this gave it to me. I also like Mad Men. I also like the iconic shows, Sopranos, The Wire, Ozark I really loved. Daria, Rick and Morty I think is such a smart show. That's also why I think Roger from American Dad is like one of my favorite cartoon characters of all time. He's so freaking hilarious. Also Bob's Burgers. A little mix, you know. Breaking Bad I enjoyed. Oh, there's so many. I'm gonna continue on with the questions because I could go in on television shows alone. Favorite memory. Again, it's a collection of memories from my childhood. That's like easy for me to answer. It is every single time I looked out in the crowd during a performance of mine and saw my parents. Because my parents are both anesthesiologists. I still have a twitch from the pager days because whenever it would beep, that meant they were being taken away from me. And somehow, I do not know how they did it, but every recital, every performance that I had as a kid, there was someone for me in that audience. And I'll never forget that. I am all the more grateful for that as an adult. Because I have this inner knowing and I move throughout the world knowing, good or bad, someone is going to show up for me. And that comes from them. And I know that that's not the case for everyone. So that's definitely my favorite memory. You know, looking out in the crowd and seeing them. Let's see. Food combinations that I like, that I think others should try. I like very common pairings. Prosciutto with brie. Why change that? It's delightful. Salmon lox and a poached egg. It makes sense. I don't know if I have anything groundbreaking. I do like peanut butter and vanilla bean ice cream. I don't know how novel that is, but you should try it. You're welcome. I wanted to know what your favorite comfort reads are and what your top 5 historicals are and top 5 contemporaries. Thank you for giving me like a number where I can breathe, girl, okay? I know you want probably particular titles in terms of comfort reads, but I'm going to say in general, novellas, especially themed novellas, are very comforting for me because they got me through college. I was hell-bent on like combating the Pavlovian response of cringe when it came to reading because of all of the required reading that I had to do. And so a novella allowed me to get in, get my HEA and get out and still read for leisure and pleasure. And so I just am comforted by them. I know a lot of people feel like there aren't enough pages, there's not enough story. I find them to be comforting. I find them to be pleasant palate cleansers, and there are novellas that pack a lot of story in a short amount of pages. I also like the themed ones because during that time in college, I felt a part of. I felt like I too was able to celebrate even though I couldn't always travel to family and even though I couldn't always celebrate along with everybody else. So novellas are definitely a thing. It's also in college where I started watching Jess from Peace Love Books, and I started watching Jen towards the end of 2018. Yeah. And now as a creator, it's sad because I never commented or engaged with them. I just watched. It wasn't until when, you know, Code de Ville hit and the Romance Book Squad did the Bridgerton read-along, which I found out about through Jess, that I started engaging with the community, and I'm so happy that I did. Anyway, moving on to your question about top 5 historicals, I'm just going to rattle off what's coming to mind. If they are tops, well, again, The Magic by Lisa Kleypas, Lord of Scoundrels by Loretta Chase, Thief of Shadows by Elizabeth Hoyt. The Maiden Lane series in general by Elizabeth Hoyt, I think everyone should read. If you enjoy historicals, there's a book in that series for everyone. It is sexy. There is an overarching mystery plot and theme of social justice. The conversation centered around class, the swoon. I love that series a lot. Anyway, sorry, pulling back. Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. And also Between the Devil and Desire by Lorraine Heath. Okay. 5 contemporaries. Ooh. Oh, this is hard. Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. Notice a theme. I will say The Bully by Sophie Lark. I really enjoyed Savage Tracker by Maggie Cole. Contradictions by Ampersand. That's a Hermione BDSM fanfic. Oh, I don't even know how many that is at this point. I think that's 5. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll give you more in the comment section. Sorry if you're getting a jarring jump cut. Okay, I was toggling back and forth. I think this is the last question. Thank you, Christina. She asked, which author is my favorite based on writing style? I'm gonna give you more than one. I love Pam Godwin, the way that she handles darker themes. Nothing is gratuitously placed, and it all functions to draft me into the mind of the character. I understand the lens through which they see the world and the choices that they're making, and I absolutely trust her to take me down the darkest and most narrow corridor and show me the light at the end of the tunnel, okay? I love Pam Godwin. I also love Kerrigan Byrne. Kerrigan Byrne writes densely and succinctly for me, and I do think that those are 2 different things. She can pack a lot of depth and weight into one line. There are so many things that I have read from her that articulate feelings that I've had that I could never put words to. The way that she writes soul sickness, I find relatable and illuminating, and I love Kerrigan Byrne. I love how it's always a little dark as well. I also enjoy Lorraine Heath, okay? She is the queen of the roller coaster with a twist of a story and an uppercut of swoon. I love Lorraine for that. Also, she's a go-to author for me if I'm feeling slumpy. I know she's gonna hit me with feeling and a good story, even if it's a 4-star read as opposed to a 5, okay? I also like Sierra Simone's writing style. That woman is a scalpel with words. You know, tiny measured cuts. It's a masterpiece of mutilation. And before I know it, I am bleeding for her characters. I love Sierra Simone and the way that she writes need, whether it's longing and need to be seen and need for peace or to be whole, she can write it. I also don't talk about Nicola Davidson enough. I love how she writes steam. It's filthy, but also revealing. I literally could continue to go on. Apparently my camera won't let me continue because my battery is dying. So I'm just gonna wrap up with Sophie Lark. I think that her writing is consumable, it's captivating, it's quotable, and it's also moving. And when I think of Sophie Lark, I think of fresh. That really was a selling point when Jen was gushing about her to me. That is who got me to pick up Sophie Lark. And I just think there's a Sophie Lark book out there for everyone. If you pick up something from her that isn't your bag, I guarantee there's another one out there. You will fall in love with something else. So I want to wrap this video up with the giveaway details. I want to give away a $25 Amazon gift card. I think that's the best way to include everyone. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed to this channel and comment down below. Very simple. I'm just grateful that you're here. Honestly, I'm amazed at all of the support. And yeah, I hope this wasn't too chaotic. I want to thank you for joining me. Please consider subscribing, entering the giveaway, and sticking around. I will be coming out with a not so mid-month wrap up very soon, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.